It's vegan recipes with Pat and Emily.
Thanks for stopping by. Last week I made some tomato juice and I ended up with what I'm calling tomato concentrate. I liked it so much that I wanted to show you how you can get two products from one batch of tomatoes. Now you might be looking at this tomato juice and thinking it looks awfully watery. Well, it is watery, but when you shake it up, it ends up looking like a thin tomato juice. Now, a lot of tomato juices are thick, like if you buy them in the store, they are thicker, but this is so full of flavor, and it's really more like the consistency of an apple juice. So let's get started. It's the end of tomato season, and I found these at a farmer's market at a reduced price, and I think that you can probably still find some good deals on tomatoes as well. You can see they're not the best shape, but these will be perfect to make tomato juice as well as tomato concentrate or paste. I'm washing the tomatoes in water, and I've added some white vinegar to make sure that they are nice and clean and any pesticides would be washed off. I've cored the tomatoes and removed any of the blemishes and parts that were not desirable to eat, and this is what I'll be discarding. This is the first step in blanching the tomatoes to remove the peel. They will be in boiling water for 30 seconds, possibly up to a minute, and then they will go into an ice water bath. The tomatoes are in an ice water bath and the peels will just slip off. This is how easily the tomato peels come off. If you find that yours are not coming off that easily, just leave them in the boiling water a little bit longer. As I put the tomatoes in my pot that I'll be cooking them down in, I slice them up, and as I get more in my pot, I'm able to just slice through them in the pot. Remember, we're not adding any water. I will start it on high, and as soon as it starts to get hot, I'll turn it down to low and let this cook until the tomatoes are fully cooked and very soft. Now it's time to put a lid on the pot and get it on the stove. The tomatoes are cooking, and every now and then I come in with this tool and mash them. You could use a potato masher also. At this point, I want them to get a little softer, and then we will start draining the juice off. I'm straining off my tomatoes. I have them in a colander, and I will leave them in this overnight. I'll cover them and put them in the refrigerator, and I did put some of the juice in here. I will cover this and also put it in the refrigerator overnight. It's the next morning, and I'm going to show you how to finish up processing the tomato juice and making the tomato concentrate or paste. This morning I have 12 cups of juice. That was from last night. And then from the tomatoes that I was straining, I got another 2 cups of juice. So pour it in there. And then this will come to a boil and I will season it. These tomatoes I'm going to put into a saucepan, heat them up, and put them through a blender to blend up all of the tomato seeds. This is the juice, and I'm stirring in onion powder, garlic powder, salt, black pepper, and some sugar. I'm also putting in a sprig of fresh rosemary and some basil that I have left. A couple years ago, I read that when you are processing tomatoes, you have to actually increase the acidity in them to make them safer for canning. So I'm squeezing in probably about a half a cup of lemon juice. This is just going to cook until it's hot and bubbly and ready to can. At that time, I'll taste it and see if I need to adjust any of the seasonings. Here's my heated tomatoes in my blenders, and I have to tell you, my smaller Ninja actually blended up the seeds better than the larger Ninja. So if you have a smaller one, that might be the way to go. This is the tomato puree, and I will be cooking this down until it's much pastier. Right now, I'm adding some seasonings. There's oregano, sweet basil, Italian seasoning, onion and garlic powder, some salt, and I'm adding a bay leaf. I will stir it up. It already smells wonderful. I will be putting it on my stove at a fairly low heat. It will splatter, so what I do is I put a cooling rack on top of my pot, and then I put an old towel on it so that those splatters don't go all over the place. I remove the herbs from the hot bubbly tomato juice, and then I use standard canning procedures: hot jars, hot lids, hot liquid, and now they're ready to go in my canner. Stir the tomato concentrate occasionally and let it cook down slowly. I had the tomato concentrate on a low temperature all day because I was busy with various things going on. The last couple minutes I actually turned the heat up because I was going to be around to keep stirring it. I did remove the bay leaf, and as you can see, this is how thick it is. That's the consistency that I'm looking for. And since the liquid is cooked out, I'm seeing more seeds than I want. I'm simply putting it through the blender one more time to see if I can get those seeds all incorporated. This is what it looks like after it's been put in the blender one more time. Most of the seeds are now gone. At this time, you would want to taste it and adjust the seasoning. To me, it seems good. And now I'm going to put it in hot canning jars. My hands are kind of used to holding these hot jars, but they are pretty hot. You may need a pot holder. Be sure that you leave headspace for this. Next thing I'm going to do is I'll clean the rim. I will put on a hot canning lid, a band, and I will pressure can them. I pat the jars down like this so that gets out the air bubbles. This canning project has concluded. You can see that there is the tomato juice and the tomato paste or tomato concentrate. It's been fun making this. I hope you'll try it and hope you have the same success I did. Please come and see us next week.